Allergies. Welcome to Trust Your Gut with Tanya. I am Tanya Abatello. I'm a functional nutritional let's try that one more time. I'm a functional nutrition strategist and wellness practitioner who helps high-performing individuals resolve chronic, complex health issues that haven't responded to conventional approaches. With a background in biology and technology, I take a systems-based investigative approach, identifying root causes, optimizing nutrition, and regulating the nervous system to create highly personalized protocols that actually work. I also integrate Kundalini yoga, Pilates, and sound healing to help clients not just heal, but fundamentally recalibrate how their body functions under stress. So here we are this week talking about seasonal allergies. It's that time of year. Pollen is starting to come out everywhere. It's coating our cars. It's getting on our faces and our hair, on our clothing. God forbid you open a window because it's finally nice out and you want to get some air into your house. You'll see it on your surfaces in your house. Yeah, it's very frustrating. And if you were like me, you're all of a sudden, if this starts to bother you, you're wondering, why does it happen? Well, I decided to take a look into it and try to better understand it. And I have kind of a nice long history with this. So I'd like to share that with you. So, wondering why you're reacting to one or more of these allergens or irritants for the first time as an adult? We don't always know why these reactions appear. In some cases, we can trace them to a change in your environment. For example, you may have moved to a new area where you're now exposed to plants and trees you haven't encountered before. If you're spending more time working at home during the pandemic, you may have been exposed to dust mites. Maybe you added a furry friend to your family and now you're surrounded by pet dander. This is from an article from the Henry Ford Health Institute, and I will link this. It gives a little more insight as to why this does happen. But one of the things that I had noticed that had happened to me was I had all of a sudden, first of all, these things hormonally, your hormonal changes will happen. Your immune system changes a little as you get into your 20s, especially if you are of the female sex. That's what happens. Your hormones fluctuate and all things change just when you finally get the hang of things, right? I was also living with somebody who was smoking cigarettes, and I was constantly being exposed to cigarette smoke, and I had noticed a decline in my ability to get better. I had gotten more cases of bronchitis and things like that, and these seasonal allergies popped up right around the same time. So I went to the doctor, and at that time, I didn't realize like anything that could be prescribed to me could be potentially dangerous. I was just, going to the doctors. I was in my early 20s. It was the early 90s. There wasn't a lot of information out there yet about this. I was prescribed Seldane, which is also known as terfenadine, and it sort of helped. And it seemed harmless enough because I didn't really experience any side effects. But the next year, I was just, okay, this isn't really helping. And the doctor was like, okay, well, here's a, this is how they get you. Here's a sample of Seldane D. It's a decongestant as well. It's a little stronger. Okay. Now it came to a bubble pack. And so what I didn't do back in my, heyday of ADHD, I looked at the label. I saw that there were two in there. I didn't even read the thing, and I took both of them. So again, this is a decongestant. This has like pseudoephedrine in it. It was like, whoa. Yeah. So about 20 minutes later, I felt very, very strange and woozy, dizzy, like high even. It was kind of funny. So my uncle, who happened to be over, he's no stranger to certain intoxicating substances, took a look at me and says, "You look like you're having a good time. Are you all right?" I said, no, I was definitely not all right. I laid down, took a few deep breaths, decided never to try this stuff again. So I was onto something there. For the next few years, I continued to take the regular Seldane, and I did finally notice it had a black box warning on it, and that's when I learned what that was. Um, so I stopped it altogether, and soon thereafter, I learned that it was taken off the market. It was recalled by the FDA. You got to be pretty bad to be recalled by the FDA. And I took that stuff for a few years. I mean, I wonder if it had any lasting effects on me. I don't know. I can't quite tell. So I'm also putting in the show notes more information about the FDA, the recall. But that was when I knew I needed to find a way to treat my allergies naturally. At the time, I was working in a medical lab and I was in the referral specimen department where we did the esoteric testing. This was the testing that was not done at the lab, but was sent out to specialty laboratories all over the country. And one of the things that I had to do was enter the results when they came back in manually. Again, this is the early 90s, right? So this included the RAST panels. I forgot exactly what that stands for. And so what they are blood tests for certain groups of allergens. They grouped them into trees, grasses, pet dander. They probably still exist. I haven't checked into that stuff lately. But anyway, when I was putting the results in, I started to notice that a fair amount of them were positive for tree pollen in spring. And I thought about it and I was like, well, that's interesting. This is what I'm experiencing. Plus, just look out there. I mean, granted, pollen happens, I don't want to say all year round, depending on where you are. Yeah. But in the Northeast where I am, it is primarily spring to fall. There is pollen. I also have a thing going on with ragweed too. A lot of people do. If I get through the summer getting enough self-care, vitamin D, things like that, the fall is not nearly as bad. I notice a difference in how I take care of myself and how severe my allergies are. So one of the things that I also did notice that my allergies would get worse around the time of my menstrual period when I got a period. Now that I no longer get a period, it's everything is a little more, you know, even keeled. And at that time, also the internet became a thing. So I started to be able to look these things up. So I started looking for some natural remedies. And while I've noticed now that there are mixed results in the studies, and there is one that I will post also in the show notes, local honey. And I swear by this stuff, it makes a big difference. The idea is, and it has to be local because you're talking about the bees are going out, they're getting the pollen that's in the local area around you. It's the same pollen that's getting in the air and agitating you. So what they do is they ingest it, they create the honey, you get little minutes of the pollen itself, as well as metabolites of the pollen in the honey, and it gets into your body, and it's like it's like an immune shot. It's like the same kind of thing, like an allergy shot. It works quasi homeopathically, I'll say. There's probably a little more in it than in an actual homeopathy. That's a whole other thing. I'm not talking about that. We might get into that later on in here, but not really. Something a little different than that. But anyway, local honey contains some of these components. And hey, I believe in the placebo effect. I believe it's real. However, year after year after year, all of a sudden now, not really having the issues that I had, unless it's a really, really bad day and everybody's complaining, I'm fine. And pollen has gotten worse. It has. Because of the shift in the seasons, we are having, it seems like, longer periods of time in which the pollen is out there. It seems like there's more pollen, more CO2 in the air equals happier plants equals more pollen. So that's been happening. So I do a tablespoon in my coffee in the morning, when just as matter of course. And I start it probably around the beginning of April before it really gets bad, so that my body has a little chance to get a, I don't know, like a running start, I guess. And it was fine for the most part. It seems to work. There's also sublingual drops that you can take. And that's what it's a little bit. Okay. So they show some promise. I've never tried them. Allergy immunotherapy is an allergy treatment that works by exposing the person to small doses of an allergen, a substance that produces abnormal immune response. Sublingual immunotherapy is a relatively new approach to delivering allergy immunotherapy. The medicine is placed under the tongue, sublingually, instead of injecting it under the skin subcutaneously with allergy shots. So it's not as invasive. It's probably a little more easily accepted by children, and you're not putting something into your bloodstream directly, which makes more sense from an immuno status, because your T cell immunity, a lot of the conversion that happens, a lot of your immune system is located on the outer surfaces of your body. And your mouth, your nasal passages, your eyes, anywhere where there's openings is considered part of the outside of your body. There is special protection going on there. And that is why we don't really want to bypass that stuff when we're talking about anything that agitates the mucous membranes. So that's an option. Speaking of the mucous membranes, nasal washes. This is huge. This is huge for anything. This is excellent also during cold and flu season. But when it gets really bad, clearing the nasal passages with saline almost always offers relief. You can use a neti pot, which is this little plastic or ceramic. It looks like a little funky teapot, like almost like the genie lamp. And what you do is you put a saline solution in it and you jam it in one nostril and it goes up and flows out the other. There is maybe some discomfort, a learning curve with that. So if that isn't something that you're bold enough to try, it's extremely effective. I love it. But if it's a little bit a bridge too far, you can try saline spray. And I'm not talking like nasal sprays that contain chemicals or anything. I'm talking just the saline. So you get Clear is another good one, XLEAR, because it also contains xylitol, which is an antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial agent. So you kind of get a twofer there. That's also good to use during cold and flu season. And you just pump it up your nose, and then eventually you blow it out and everything comes out. Not everything. Let's hope not everything. But the stuff you don't want in there will come out. And I have a study here that shows that does in fact make a big difference. Saline nasal irrigation using isotonic solution, which is a saline solution, can be recommended as complementary therapy in allergic rhinitis. It is well tolerated, inexpensive, easy to use, and there is no evidence showing that regular daily saline nasal irrigation adversely affects the patient's health or causes unexpected side effects. So again, I'm going to caution you against using anything like Afrin or one of those chemical-based things that open things up. You can become dependent on that. The saline solution is not like that. It's not the same thing. It's just salt water up the nose and out. Another thing you can do is keep the pollen out of your home. I know that it's hard, especially if you, like me, you want to open up the windows and get the air in there. But if you are suffering from the pollen, the last thing you want to do is get it in your house. You're coming in the house, you're wearing clothing, change immediately. I do this anyway when I come home from places. I change out of my outside clothes and into my indoor clothes. It's almost a very Japanese kind of thing where they do. Yeah, take your shoes off at the door, everything. Because last thing you want to do is track anything from the outside into your house. And then have clothing that you're wearing exclusively in the house so that you're not tracking the pollen in, because then you get it on your clothing and it's on your face and you're rubbing it all over. It's in your eyes. Wash your face also when you come in from outside. If you have hair like this, you may want to put it up. It will decrease the chances of it getting caught in your hair and getting into your face. You have to treat it like it's a substance that you want to avoid, because it is. So have a regular routine. Only have your indoor clothing. Keep the windows closed. Frequent dusting and vacuuming with a HEPA filter vacuum cleaner too. That makes a big difference. Keeping things neat and tidy. Again, it's worth the effort if you are suffering. Another wonderful thing that I love to do, which is a part of my local somatic healing program that I do here in Clinton, Connecticut. I do this at Body Karma Studio as well as the Salt Leaf Salt Room, which is really wonderful. Salt Room. Salt Room. If you can get yourself to a salt room, do that. That helps a lot with allergies. But one of the things that I also do in as part of my somatic healing Wednesdays and Friday mornings is lymphatic drainage tapping. I do the Big Six, which is by Dr. Perry Nicholson. And sometimes I'll add a couple extra points here and there, depending on my audience and what they need. The Big Six is the stop chasing pain self-care technique for improving fluid flow in the body by working primary locations for lymphatic flow and blood flow so you can heal. Stimulation of these points, always done in order, it's very important to do them in the order, helps get nutrients into tissue via blood flow, the arteries, and waste out of the tissue via lymphatics and blood flow, the veins. So what are the Big 6 points? I will demonstrate to you some of them and how to do this. What we do is we start tapping above and below. It's the collarbone. I just kind of go up and down, above and below. Now, you wonder, well, why is this? Because this is kind of the gateway for the head and the neck. The head and the neck are the primary areas in which you're going to be suffering when it comes to allergies. So you want to stimulate these lymph nodes so that they clear out first, so that everything from your head and neck has a place to go. The next one is the sides of the neck. So it's up, back, kind of underneath the ears. This is great because it is also the vagus nerve stimulation, which is great for any kind of autonomic nervous system dysfunction you may be experiencing as a result of being stressed from having allergies or anything else. It also clears out your eustachian tubes. And sometimes when I do this, you'll feel everything start to drain. You'll feel your inner ear drain, which is excellent. The next one is in the shoulder joint. It's actually in the armpits, and you do both sides one after the other. And then we do the abdomen under the rib cage, the groin crease, the karate chop where the body hits the legs, and then behind the knees. Now, let's back up a moment. What I do for the face, the head and neck, we go here, right? Remember, this is the second point. Then I move right here. Sometimes I'll go here too. If these glands are swollen, it's good to go here, and then you go here. So we're working our way up, okay? So under here and tapping here, this is very helpful to help drain the sinuses. And we move out from the nose, out to the cheeks, then going in the center. What's interesting here in the center of the forehead, I had figured this one out when I'd gone to see an acupuncturist, and he stuck a needle right there between my eyes, and I went, whoa, and everything in my head just cleared right out. So tapping the pressure point it's an acupuncture point. It's an acupressure point. This will do that. I also go to the top of the head and kind of go back and forth. Again, you're just tapping lightly. You don't want to be knocking yourself out when you're doing this. So these are the points that I do before I go to the armpit. And if anybody wants to check that out, I think I do have a video on YouTube somewhere that does this whole thing. Or you can, if you're in the area, check me out here in Clinton, Connecticut, if you're in the Connecticut area. And I will be also doing group sessions in home and on locations. So just saying. Anyway, so that is an excellent way to get things going. I recommend that you do the lymphatic tapping every morning if you are in the midst of an allergy season situation or a cold. It just works wonders. Another thing that's really great, again, this is a different thing. We're not really employing the theory behind the big six in this, but lymphatic drainage massage. So I have a video that I will link below on my YouTube, and it's a great way to just massage the face. And again, we're hitting those points, but we're just working everything out. It's like a manual facial massage. It's great for when you're having migraines, above the eyebrows. And I use a 3-to-1 carrier oil, like olive oil and then castor oil, and then essential oil like peppermint, frankincense, eucalyptus. Do not get this in your eyes. Avoid the eyes. But the peppermint, frankincense, and eucalyptus really do a lot to open up everything. Think Vicks Vapo Rub. Remember Vicks? Love Vicks. This is like natural Vicks. Lavender is an excellent one too if you want to relax. Always try a small test patch on your arm before rubbing any oils on your face, and consult a certified aromatherapist for more information and best practices. So I will leave the link to that video. If all else fails, the kitchen sink. Just do everything. Do all the things. I mean, if you're suffering, what else have you got to lose, really? I know it makes you tired. I know it makes you miserable, but you want to feel better. So just kind of make this a self-care protocol for yourself. Make sure you have your indoor clothes. Make sure you're washing your face when you come home, keeping your windows closed, vacuuming, keeping things well dusted, doing the honey, doing the lymphatic drainage. And, before you know it, allergy season will be over and it will be summer, and we won't be dealing with all of this pollen in the air anymore until fall or until, I don't know, you're allergic to something in the summertime. Let's just hope that you only have one thing. Mine is primarily in the spring, and I do get ragweed in the fall. But again, I noticed that the allergies are worse in the spring. It's because it's the trees that I have an allergy to. But I also think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're all winter, you're not getting sunlight, you're not getting vitamin D, and you aren't doing the things that you should be doing to take care of yourself as much, because who wants to do any of that during the wintertime? We go into hibernation, right? This is one of the reasons why we get sick in the wintertime. But going away to a sunny location in February also does help a little. Just saying. If you have the means, I highly recommend it. Otherwise, make sure you're getting enough of your vitamin D as well. Very, very important. Getting that vitamin K with the vitamin D and the magnesium, the balance of the three, very important. So I hope that this has been helpful. Until next time, this has been Trust Your Gut with Tanya. I am Tanya Abatello, and I am wishing you a sparkling day.